Hello, my name is Sarah Ruiz, and I am part of Miss Hinson's Read 3356 classroom. And today I wanted to get real with you guys. And get real about what, you ask? Well, I wanted to get real about the way that students learn best in a classroom. And so I want to talk about the word authentic here. And so authentic is defined as something that is real or genuine. And so the way that students learn best is by completing authentic tasks. And authentic tasks would be kind of completing tasks that allow the students to learn in a genuine, real way where they kind of get to that aha moment on their own. And so I read an article, The Case for Authentic Task in Content Literacy by Seth A. Parsons and Allison E. Ward. And this article examined the benefits of authentic tasks in a classroom versus the traditional methods of instructional delivery. So, students that were participating in conducting an academic task demonstrated a higher level of comprehension. So, why did these students demonstrate a higher level of comprehension? Well, that's because through authentic tasks, the student is getting that aha moment. They actually learn the content for themselves. Versus traditional methods, we have teachers that give the students the answer and the students are just asked to memorize it. Basically, this is the way things work, you just need to memorize it. Well, authentic tasks allow the students to get that learning genuinely on their own, and they get to that same moment, but they learned it for themselves. So authentic tasks also increase student motivation, and it allows the students to use their academic vocabulary. So authentic tasks increase student motivation because when we think about authentic tasks, most of the time students are up out of their seats, they are hands-on versus sitting at a desk with a worksheet, with a pen and paper. So authentic tasks increase student motivation. They get to be involved. Also, it allows students to use their academic vocabulary because generally students are told this word means this, cut it out, paste it in your journal, rewrite it, whatever, but they are asked to memorize what this word means. With authentic tasks, you have the students actually get to apply their vocabulary, and they're able to figure out how to use that vocabulary, when to use that vocabulary. And so one example that I wanted to give was when talking about money. We talk about credit, we talk about, money transactions and debt. And so one good way to really allow students to understand this is by creating a bank in your classroom. Allow students to take turns being the banker or to purchase things on credit, talk about debt, talk about, all this other stuff. And the students get to understand how to talk about these things, what's the right terminology, and they get to actually practice. So we want to make sure that the students are doing tasks that are authentic. And the most useful parts of this article I found was in the examples. It contrasted like a classroom A and a classroom B, where in classroom A, the students were completing an authentic task where they were going out, they were, studying about these animals, and classroom B, they were sitting in their desk, listening to a teacher, reading out of a textbook. And so I liked the example because it just talked about writing. In both cases, students can use writing. And in classroom A, these students are writing in their field journals, and in classroom B, the students are copying notes from an overhead. So which one of these two is meaningful? Which one of these two shows the students that, hey, I'm going to need this at some other point in my life, or I can totally do this again? Classroom A, because in classroom B, they're sitting there, they're just copying notes. So I found these two examples to be the most useful because I got to see what meaningful, authentic tasks versus just a regular traditional task look like, especially when it comes down to just like the writing aspect. Okay, there's so many parts of this assignment of an authentic task, but when we narrow it down to just like talking about the writing, I could come up with a huge idea in my head on how to create an authentic task, but at the end of the day I would probably think of them coming back to the classroom and sitting down and writing something in their journal when that's actually not authentic either. Having them take that journal out and learn how to take like field notes, that's a much more authentic activity. So that example really helped me understand how authentic tasks are done and how it can really create a deeper sense of understanding for the learner. So there was a couple of questions that this article did raise for me, and that is like, how long should an authentic lesson take? The article did talk about having assignments that were meaningful, and the students actually preferred that the tasks were high challenge assignments. So those high challenge assignments were lasting several days, maybe even a week, versus the other assignments where they weren't highly challenging because it was a sit down, copy the notes or whatever. And so students actually prefer this type of learning. And although I do think that it is going to take a lot more for the teacher to prepare, and then the teacher has to scaffold throughout, how long should the authentic lessons really take? That wasn't a question that was necessarily answered black and white in the article, and I don't think that there is really a black and white answer. However, one of the reasons why I asked this is because how often can a teacher realistically use authentic lessons? Because we have other things in the classroom that we do have to teach. And although authentic tasks just sound like the way to go, I think of like benchmark testing. So don't students need a mix of these authentic tasks versus the other type of learning? Because initially during testing, they're going to be asked to sit down and read text and answer questions. So what is that good mix that you can kind of do it all? There's not really a black and white answer in this article, and I don't know if there is actually a black and white answer for this, but I definitely do agree that we need to teach through authentic tasks more than what is being done so in a classroom right now. And so I am a future educator, and so for me, in my classroom, in my future classroom, I will create high challenge assignments by trying to cover a topic in several days or a week, which is something new to me because I've really only seen topics covered like each day, and then they kind of move on to the next topic. And that did seem to me to be the most productive, but now that I think about it, using a couple days or even a week would be beneficial because you get more time on that content. Not only that, but at the end of the week you could really test the students' knowledge and expect, some really good authentic, like an authentic assessment of their knowledge. And the authentic tasks can kind of differ throughout the week. We talked about writing. You could incorporate math and writing and science, just all these different types of subjects and different types of learning throughout the week, and at the end of the week have, this really big, authentic task that you can assess, or kind of to wrap up the whole thing. And so overall, I think, authentic tasks are definitely the way to go to introduce new concepts to the students. I think it allows the students to really understand the content a lot better. However, there is still at the end those questions that I have where, what is the good mix, the perfect mix for your classroom? Because although it sounds super fun and motivating, is this what we want to do every day? Not really sure about that, but I look forward to learning more about authentic tasks, and I definitely look forward to using these authentic tasks in my classroom to help students learn. And I really appreciate just any feedback anybody might have on this. So thank you.